Okay, wonderful. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Kevin Neal from P3iD, and thank you for joining us today. We have a very exciting webinar. We're very excited to present some technology to you, talk some business, and this is for our worldwide audience, so that's why I'm introducing morning, afternoon, and evening to everybody. We are recording this, so this will be a recording that we'll be able to share in the future, so thanks to everybody that's attending. And we have a great presentation. We have two technology companies here, P3iD and Lyrid, and we are going to present an exciting product today that we built mutually, and it's really the future of digital transformation. So let's go and get started here. So first of all, let me introduce you to our host. Your main host is Cesar Vega. He's a seasoned professional that I've worked with for a long time. I've known him as a competitor. He's also been a colleague of mine at a scanning hardware company. He's been around, he's a well-rounded person with a lot of experience in hardware business, in the capture software business, and the document management business. So he knows the entire life cycle of the document workflow. So he's a really one person in the industry that has interesting perspective, and I've worked with him a long time, and we've coordinated events together. So I really appreciate his friendship. And today he'll be taking the lead on any kind of sales and marketing questions, but he's the featured host. My name is Kevin Neal. I'm the CEO with P3iD, and P3iD is an innovator in these new kind of cloud capture solutions. So we've got a web scanning application that's integrated with different capabilities. It's called ScanBot, and I'll be talking about that and demoing it today. And we're also joined by Handoyo. He is the CEO and CTO, so he wears a couple hats, even though he's not physically wearing a hat right now. But he does a lot of stuff at Lyrid, and they're a great partner of P3iD. They are a wonderful company infrastructure-wise. So all your cloud hosting needs and application needs, they allow you to rapidly deploy and scale up your application. So you can run a lot of applications on their infrastructure, and we run blockchain, and we run storage and applications and all kinds of stuff on their infrastructure. And I don't want to steal on any of his thunder, but that's our group. Handoyo, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin, for that for the nice introductions. So yeah, my name is Handoyo. My company is Lyrid. We build, manage, and deploy applications on multi-cloud infrastructure. Basically, we help companies to be able to be cloud native, and we'll go into more details about what we do. And we help them to be more Kubernetes native, basic. And we are a good partner with Kevin. So he's been a firm believer in our platform from the very beginning, and our platform helps him to actually go from like any cloud vendors, so that he can actually deploy and sell to any cloud vendors as well through any channels, basically. So yeah, we'll go into more details about what we do, and I think we can continue.
All right, thanks, Handoyo. And then Cesar, of course, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience too, if you'd like to do that.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Yes, it's Cesar Vega. As Kevin mentioned, we have been competitors, colleagues, and that developed into a friendship going close to a little bit over 20 years now. But as Kevin mentioned, I have been in the industry of document management and capture since 1996. During that time, I have worked mostly with hardware companies with the scanner business, but I have had opportunities to work with software companies on the capture side and the document management side. As Kevin mentioned, I have been into other markets in other industries, but I've always brought what I knew to those industries, always finding ways, how can we capture that information, store that information electronically, and eliminate the bulkiness of what a file cabinet with documents that could or could not be used take up in precious real estate space in an office that could be used for more employee desk, or maybe a break room or conference room, whatever it is, but that is precious real estate inside of an office that documents are taking up. So when Kevin asked me to see if we can host this and invite my other colleagues throughout the world, I said absolutely, because I know that the technology that P3iD and Lyrid bring to the table could be very beneficial to many of you, not only in your businesses, but maybe even for your own personal use as well. So, Kevin, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this.
Beautiful. Thanks, Cesar. Beautiful. So, so let me start with this. There's an event coming up in Safety Harbor, Florida. So that's about 20 minutes out of Tampa. And it's an event. And as I mentioned, Cesar and I, well, actually, Cesar was the most important person organizing the Latin America conferences for a company we worked with many, many years ago. But this was out of all the events we did, these were my personal favorites because the people that attended from the Latin America conferences were really eager for the information and really engaging much more than North American audiences, quite honestly. So so this is going to be the same kind of spirit at this particular event. It's hosted by the Twain Working Group, who P3 is part of. But it's going to be the same kind of event. It will be a hands-on technical event and also a business discussion event. So this is coming up just in a couple months. But for anybody watching this recording or attending this live today, there is an opportunity to do future events specifically for audiences that Cesar can organize. So I'm just going to tease that for now. I'm going to give you a little bit more detail at the end of this presentation. But there's a great event that will allow you to touch and work and feel with a lot of the technologies that I'm going to talk about right now. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about our ScanBot solution. So back in the day, deploying a scanning solution involved getting a scanner. Usually it's a USB or a SCSI or a Wirefire kind of scanner, but today they're mostly USB. And then you get a computer, then you connect the cable to the computer, then you'd install some driver like an ISIS driver, VRS driver, Twain driver. You'd install some capture software on the desktop, then you'd install some software application, and this took a long time. And I mean, it works, it's tried and true, but it took a lot of time, took a lot of effort, and it took this computer involved. So with the Internet of Things and with network attached computer or scanners, we're eliminating the computer from the equation. So this decreases cost, increases security, and increases the integrated scanning experience. So now these, instead of USB, they're Wi-Fi, they're Ethernet, and they connect via one of these connections into Twain Direct, which is just an API. And then you can have a web application or a mobile application talk directly to the scanner. So this is an ideal situation to eliminate the PC. So at its core, that's what ScanBot is using, is the Twain Direct technology way under the hood. But this is a very important strategic thing that allowed us to create an application that can share scanners and you can connect to scanners over internet. So fundamentally, this was a very key decision to building ScanBot. So this is how ScanBot operates. It's a container, and again, I don't want to steal Handoyo's thunder and how it was built, but it's basically a server that can live anywhere, and it connects scanners directly, not with a computer, but via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. So all you have to do is just register it. It's about a 5-minute process or less. Then you just select the scanner, as you will see, and then you scan. So you can get a scanner registered and actually start using it in literally like 10 or 15 minutes. And usually, as I showed with installing this, getting a PC, installing the operating system, installing the driver, installing the capture software, that was usually a couple days, maybe even a week's process to get it deployed. So deployment, maintenance of the solution. So this is where ScanBot fits. And ScanBot captures the images from scanners, and it could be desktop scanners, production scanners, or hybrid scanners with touchscreen. And then once the image is captured, you could do things like OCR and send it to workflows. So this is the traditional digital workflow. But we found a new use case too. And I definitely want to mention this because everybody is always talking about AI, and LLMs. So the same concept of capturing images and classifying images and extracting metadata can now be used instead of just sending them to storage or a workflow. You can actually start creating large language models with your own unique data set by doing the same exact process. So you can see how you can leverage your capture strategy into this new kind of environment with creating smart large language models, which then can be your AI solution. So this is really great. Here's a place that you can go and get trial. It's a technology adoption program, so there's a URL there. So this is where ScanBot fits. I just wanted to give a picture of where the technology fits. Some of the key features of ScanBot are portability. Handoyo will talk about that in a minute. Any environment, usually in scanning, any of us that have been in the scanning business for a long time know that only Windows is like 95% of the industry is Windows only because of the drivers and the application required. But with ScanBot, you can use it in 100% of your environments because we support web-based scanning. So any of these operating systems, Linux has, just use Firefox or a Linux supported browser. Apple just used Safari. Citrix, that had virtual streaming applications. You can now use it in virtual desktop infrastructure, cloud PC. So this really expands the ability to use ScanBot in any environment instead of just Windows environments because it doesn't involve any local install driver. Time to value, as I mentioned, you could deploy scanners in 5 minutes. You can get full workflows in 10 or 15 minutes. So now your investment in the technology, you could start utilizing almost immediately. It's secure because you're not using the PC involved. It's just a direct connection from your scanning software to the hardware device, to the scanning hardware device. And you get a lot of efficiency out of it. So the key points, zero install and multi-cloud and quick deployments. So last thing, and then Handoyo, I'm going to ask you to get it. So ScanBot is portable. So what does that mean? It means that it could be hosted in a public cloud. We can host it for you. You can host it in your own private cloud, or because it's containerized, you can host it on premise as well. So any deployment option is available to you. We know that some environments you can't use a third-party cloud service, so that's why we built this. So because ScanBot is a container and it's a Kubernetes, you can run it anywhere. It's multi-cloud and it's got these key features, auto-scaling, load balancing. So Handoyo, I'm going to stop sharing here, and if you could share some details on Lyrid, that would be fantastic.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Let me share my screen. All right. You can see this, okay, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Kevin, as Kevin mentioned, we actually we help companies to build solutions just like what Kevin have, basically, like it's a Kubernetes solution that actually, when you deploy inside our platform, we help you build, deploy, and manage it on multiple different cloud infrastructure and cloud platform. So we ourselves, we're Lyrid. I'm the CEO and I'm the CTO, and I started this company back in 2019. And when I started this back then, we focus ourselves on application development, integrations with multiple different systems, and building a multi-cloud infrastructures. So our ethos has always been like, we don't believe in vendor lock-in, we don't believe in all those things, I think a lot of these kind of like when you build application in the cloud at the moment, at least, there's a lot of these vendor lock-ins, and there's a lot of these kind of things that makes you dependent through a single cloud vendor, right? But there's actually tools and there's actually different kind of technologies out there that you can adopt. And you don't have to adopt it in a way that is like very different than what you already did before, which we already proved with Kevin's basically saying like, if you do adopt this, Kevin was actually where were you last time? AWS, right?
Yeah, I started with AWS. Yep.
Correct. Yeah, you started with AWS, and I told him like, hey, I can make this thing portable. can make this thing portable. I think this thing can be a portable solution, you know. So we developed that, and through our tools, we developed these kind of like open platform, and making it like as simple as possible for him to actually deploy it on anything. And our product actually sits in between a platform as a service. I think some of you guys may know this term, and infrastructure as a service, basically. So and we are managing Kubernetes. So I think within the spectrum, we want to make it as easy as possible for anybody to consume infrastructure, just like a platform as a service providers, which falls into the right side of the spectrum. Which usually, yes, developer like to use this. It's very easy to use. Very when you're adopting a technology, you can just deploy and run it very fast, you know, which just makes it as cheap as possible on the right side. But they have the lowest flexibility. Usually, when you develop on one of these platform as a service, most of the time it's hard for you to move to another vendor. You know? Yeah. And then on the left side, there's this infrastructure as a service where you actually can get the most flexibility, but have the highest complexity, and it's most expensive too. Where you can start building like your own data centers, your own infrastructures, your own racks, your own what. You know? But yeah, we partner, by the way, because of our kind of like technology, we partner a lot with infrastructure providers. On the left side right here, and we actually pull them together and create the best option and pricing for you guys, so that you guys can actually host your applications and move it where it makes sense for you guys, basically. So through our relationship with data centers and hardware providers and all these kind of like rack and colo providers, we can actually help with the pricing as well, you know. And our vision is to make it as seamless as possible and as kind of like as basically saying like our experience is making it as universal and as seamless as possible for you to develop on any type of infrastructure and data centers. You don't even see what's underneath it. But it can be as as close as possible to you, which is a local and regional data center as well. We believe that is more a sustainable, responsible model to deliver a cloud infrastructure, basically. So yeah, the platform itself is, as I mentioned, as easy as possible. So when you have an application or a containers or a code even, you can just push that code into our platform. Our platform can do the packaging, the build, the packaging, and the distribution. And we connect multiple different Kubernetes vendors inside our platform, and we connect different data centers where we can actually do all the deployment, the testing, the auto scaling, the management, and the configuration for each one of those Kubernetes clusters. Okay, and we do it in a one single pane of glass so that we can actually provide a one-stop shop for all your managed infrastructure needs. If you need like a database, what do you call it? If you need like even like a WordPress, or if you need like a certain solutions, you know, so you can actually do it as a one-stop click, and you can go to our platform and select what do you need to build, what database that you need, and then deploy it in all our partner data centers, and then just run the deployment. Okay, so the basic workflow on how we actually build is just like that. So all you need to do is just have your code, push it in, select the deployment strategy, and then deploy it. Okay, and we do it underneath the hood. This is all Kubernetes. We manage Kubernetes, and we make it. We do our own as well, our own Kubernetes inside the bare metals, as well as using managed Kubernetes from any public cloud, or we can actually build a Kubernetes solution inside a data center that doesn't have a Kubernetes as well. The reason why we do Kubernetes is that we want to make this thing as scalable and highly available, and it has highly available volumes, and where you can actually do backups, manage manage the compute, do backups, do temporary expansions. If you need to hybrid solution, if you need to connect multiple, or if you need to have like an infrastructure where you have like your main infrastructure is in a data center, but you have like a temporary one in the cloud where you can actually load balance between them as well. Those are the things why we do Kubernetes, and we do this through the data centers, and we provide these data centers end-to-end support. Just like Kevin mentioned, like about like you can actually point this anywhere, right? So once you actually build within our platform, we can actually use any one of these Kubernetes cluster engines that we already pre-built within the platform, and your solution can actually be we can make your solution to be part of our managed offering. ScanBot actually falls into this kind of like managed offering, so that we can actually package that and then sell it within a platform, and sell it through our channels. And a lot of people that is using our platform actually can see all this kind of like things that is built within the platform, just like ScanBot, and they can actually test it, and I can actually buy it as well within the platform too. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think that's from me, and that's about us. And feel free to contact me if you guys need any kind of our services. And yeah, back to you, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Santoyo. If you could stop sharing, I'll share my screen again. Great. Host. Okay, share my screen. Yeah, Lyrid has been a wonderful decision for us from a business standpoint, is because we started running a few applications, then we did more and more and more, and if we went with one of the big hyperscalers, we couldn't afford the infrastructure to do the development and the testing. So Lyrid has been a wonderful business decision, and the value that we're getting over time is even more incremental every single day. So we can't thank them enough, and the future is very bright working together. So Handoyo, thank you, and we look forward to they're a sponsor at the Developers Day event in November in Safety Harbor. So anybody that's watching this recording that wants to come and meet Handoyo and meet the team and learn more about Lyrid, then consider attending that event. So a few more things about ScanBot, and then I'll actually show you a demo. It's easy. So oftentimes in our industry, we've made technology too many clicks and too complicated. So the whole point is that we want to use advanced technology but make it easy. So as you can see here, registering the scanner is like we have this concept of quick scan. So you just press a button and it does a scan profile and it does a scan workflow just with one click. So you literally can't get much easier than that. And everything is fixed. So maybe you scan to an email address all the time. There's no typing in the email address where you might fat finger it and mistype the email address destination, or misconfigure, scanning at 600 DPI color all the time when you don't need color and it should be black and white. So what does this mean at the end of the day? It means more user productivity and happier workers because they're getting work done. So we want ScanBot to be easy for users, and you get an excellent time to value. So what does this mean? Is that because the scanners come with a web registration, you don't have to install any software. So on my computer here, I'm on a computer, yes, but I didn't install any software here. I just go to the web interface of the scanner, and I can register to ScanBot through the web interface of the scanners. So that's about a 5-minute process. And then there's limited training on this. It's really easy to use. It's basically just clicking a button and just saying what scanner I want to use. So you get a lot of ROI, and total cost of ownership is really wonderful with ScanBot. Universally compatible, I mentioned it already. Usually in the world of scanning, Windows only is supported, but now you can use it in, a lot of people are going with thin client solutions or different operating systems like Macs, and especially Linux is getting a lot of attention. Red Hat, Ubuntu, and SUSE. different kinds of hard, high security environments like VMware and PC over IP, Citrix, all these traditional high security environments where USB attached scanners was really difficult to do or impossible. Now you have a solution because all you need is a web browser to do your document scanning. And then security, because you can't have a cloud application without secure. So these are just a couple of features. So secure erase. So as the images are produced and they go through the cloud services, it's written to disk and then something happens. Maybe it writes temporary to disk and then it does an OCR service and then it does a next. So you can configure this to erase the temporary data after every scan or every week or at a certain volume. So it's completely configurable to your compliance. We have document encryption at rest and in motion. So everything's encrypted from the second the image is created from the scanner to storage. We use very advanced encryption. So you can see a picture here. You could take this one image file and split it 20% here, 20% here, 40% here. So the likelihood of decrypting each chunk and reassembling that, the likelihood is astronomical. And then last but not least, I'll show you this. We could scan documents. We can create a hash value in the blockchain so that has a unique digital ID. That image itself has some characteristics that are unique to it, and it's got a hash value in the blockchain that you can use in a workflow. So if you want to exchange documents and the person you're exchanging an image with wants to certify that it is an original, then you can check with the blockchain. So these are the kind of security components that we've integrated. And then ScanBot is integrated. So you're going to see an interface today and an application. But no, there is API. So if you have an application and you want to integrate it into your own application, maybe you've got an accounting application or a healthcare application, you just want to put a little scan button in there, and then while you're in the customer experience, you just say, I want to bring in an image, I want to do some OCR on that, and I'll populate some fields in my application, not a third-party capture application that then exports into it. So it's integrated. So we can host a web service API for you. There's API for you to create your own application. So literally, we've had software integrations be done as quick as 5 days. Some people are doing it in a day to get at least a prototype and like a first pass done. So integration's really quick. So let me stop here and do a demo now, and then I will come back to this event. Okay, so what I'm going to show over here is the ScanBot interface. So let me log out first. So the first thing that I didn't mention on the slide there was we have this idea of multi-factor authentication. So you're going to see the first factor authentication is just a username and password like everybody would use. So you could see this. And then here's my application. We're having an extra button here just to show you that I am doing a second factor. Usually we could just eliminate this button and it would automatically send me a notification, but right now it's send me a notification. Go. So now I'm just going to press one button that says that I want to allow my location, but notice I'm not doing anything on the keyboard to authenticate. It just authenticated with my face. So now I've done a second factor authentication to the application before I even log in. So usually multi-factor authentication is now being enforced by different applications. So we've got that by default. So this is the basic interface. You could see, as I mentioned, we have this quick scan. So you just pick a profile here. If on an invoice or a receipt, then I just press connect and scan my documents. Or over here, this is kind of the main interface for scanning. You can see I've got, usually in a USB attached, you have an application is connected to a scanner and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. But with ScanBot, you can see I have a lot of different scanners. I probably have 9 or 10 different scanners here, and I have different models. This is a N60, this is a D70. I've got this one in this mode. So you can see I can organize them in different areas or different capabilities. This is one that's going to do document authentication. Here's one in Mexico City. Here's one that's configured for a different one. Here's one in my office. So you can see I got all kinds of different, and it keeps register date, use date. We also have the ability in the same workflow to import files. So if you've got existing image files and you want to reprocess them, maybe you want to send them to OCR, you want to add additional capabilities you can upload. So basically you can leverage your existing workflow. We've got users over here. So here's 4 users, but this does integrate. It's a single sign-on system. So it integrates with the Active Directory or LDAP. So if you've got thousands of users and passwords in your LDAP or Active Directory, we can connect into that so that you manage your usernames and passwords. And if you revoke access from somebody, then the application obviously wouldn't allow that person to log on. So these are the basic settings. I'll just show you this the scanning screen here. So I select a scanner. The scanner will come ready. And then you could see I've got scan jobs down here. I've done a bunch of scan jobs. So the idea is that you could scan documents with this, and then you could have preview screen such as this. So you can see here, I've scanned this invoice, then I can download, this is only 1 page, but I would download the 1-page PDF, or if it was multiple pages, I can download all of them as a multi-page PDF. So that's this button. If I wanted to add PDFs to it, in other words, if I had, I wanted to say, okay, I've got this invoice and then maybe I got another document that I want to put together into a package and send it over, I could do insert PDFs, and it just says browse to the file and insert the PDF. I'm going to talk about C2PA in a minute. This is a way that you can provide content authenticity to this image. Then we also are integrated with third-party applications. This happens to be an application from a company called OpenText. They're a big capture and document management company, and they have a risk guard service. So you can actually upload a document with social security numbers or credit card numbers or PII data, and then we'll identify that PII data. So you could do redaction or some kind of data loss protection on your content. And then you can also email it. So this is kind of just our basic preview. There are additional settings over here to enable other connectors. So you could see we have Salesforce. You just turn that on, turn this on. And if you want to then come back over here and you could preview that image again, you'll see the additional connectors. So the whole idea is that we want to make this simple and easy. So if I want to send this invoice to QuickBooks, just press QuickBooks. It allows you to either create a new record or add to existing records. Same thing with Salesforce. So this is a way that you can add OCR and document classification into the process before you send it to a final destination. Okay, so that's ScanBot. I wanted to quickly go through that just to show you this here. So ScanBot is integrated. So we are having Developers Day on November 13th and 14th in Safety Harbor. So again, that's near Tampa Bay. Here's the email address to get more information or to register for the event. So there's half is hands-on to integrate some of the capabilities I'm going to show you in a minute here. And I really suggest people come to this because you can use the technology, and one day basically you can have all these capabilities of plain direct scanning and basically a ScanBot kind of version that's with your logos and your colors. So basically this capability will be either integrated into your application or you can integrate it with your application. At Developers Day, we're going to be debuting a few cool capabilities, and I want to talk about those right now. This event is sponsored by Lyrid, so Lyrid's a major sponsor of it. We do have media sponsors. We have educational sponsors like AIM and some other technology sponsors. But the whole idea is that you can integrate this into your application. So this is what we really envision as the really powerful thing, is that you have an existing application. Maybe you or your customers are working in an accounting application all the time, or they're working in a healthcare application, or they're working in a insurance application, whatever it might be. That line of business application is the application you're in all day, every day, and you're in it, and that's what you want to do. But when you had to do scanning in the past, you had to go to use the scanning application that's provided by the scanner vendor, or go get your own scanning application. And you had to scan outside of the business process, maybe scan to a folder, then within your application, browse to a folder and upload it. So you're really losing all the chain of custody, the ease of use, the integrated approach. So although that worked, it's just really a cop out. It's not really integrated. So now with this kind of capability, Bill wants to add scanning to his application. So he decides that he wants a cloud solution like this, and he finds us, and then he finds our API, and we give him some source code. And then basically all he has to do is just copy and paste a scan button. And then he integrates into his backend system, and he just says, okay, I already have familiarity with my own application. And I just take the image from ScanBot, and then I put it in my application. So as I mentioned, we have ISVs that come to us. They aren't really familiar with scanning at all, but they say, yeah, I have a need for it. And we say, okay, here, we'll give you a developer's key, we'll give you an API, and we'll coach you how to do this. And again, they'd get it done in a couple days. So instead of having this big giant project that you have to go get budgeted, you have to go get approval to do, even one developer just spending part-time can do this, and we will help you with this. And this is what we envision as the future, is that integrated directly into your business applications instead of going outside of the business application. So two really cool things that we're going to offer at Developers Day, and then I will show you a demo of this. Is the first one is in the world of deep fakes, it's easy to fake videos and fake audios and fake images. There's a lot of news about faked images, fake airline tickets, and faked bills of ladings and faked invoices. Maybe somebody alters the invoice to the payee is from the original payee on the document into somebody else, and they get paid tens of thousands of dollars, or they modify the pay amount and you're overpaying. So with Gen AI, it's so easy to do this. So we want to provide a way that you can provide content authenticity when those scanned images are created. So this is a new project. It's supported mostly by Adobe and Microsoft and Canon and TruePic, but Adobe is really pushing it. But it is an open standard, and we're integrating it into ScanBot. So you notice I had that download C2PA button on there. And what it is it basically embeds a manifest into the image files. So this is the number one capability, and I'll come back and do a demo of it, but you can integrate this at Developers Day. Then the second thing is we're adding this scan to blockchain and create a hash value. So what does this do? It complements the C2PA manifest, but it's slightly different because the hash is stored on the blockchain and not with the credentials aren't with the image file itself. So what does this mean? It means if you transfer a medical record from Dr. A to Dr. B, you can then revoke access from Dr. A, and then Dr. A doesn't have access to your files anymore. Only Dr. B gets it. So because it's stored on the blockchain, you can revoke access, you can provide access, you can share these documents amongst people, and then they can validate, yes, it's an authentic document and it goes through my workflow automatically, or it goes to an exception queue, or there's some kind of reason why it's been altered, or the dollar amount's been changed, the payee's been changed. So there's a lot of technical stuff behind it, but it's basically the DNA of the image itself. So let me show you these two things in action here. So the first one is, as I showed, was this idea of C2PA. So C2PA, again, is for the content authenticity. So to do this, you just press that button and go out here, and I'll save this. So this is says our demo, C2PA demo. So it creates this file. And then over here, we have a C2PA internal tool. So you could see this, we could use our internal tool. This is on our URL. You can go use it. Or they have an external tool here. So if there's a third party completely disconnected, you could send this image to them and then they can verify it. So let's go ahead and use our internal verification tool here. And that was in document, it's this one that I just created. So notice now what it's done is it's read this invisible manifest and it says, this was issued by P3iD. This was our signing certificate for this image. And it says it's been created by this application, ScanBot. And I haven't done anything to it other than create it, but you'll see in a second, these ingredients are what's changed about that file. And then it was issued on this date. So the whole point is that you have, I know reliably where this image came from. And right now, so many people have all these scanned images on their network somewhere. They have no idea what application was created, what user, what's been done to it. So this is a way that you could prove that, you know, this is an authentic piece of scanned image. Over here, this is the external tool, and I'll get one of the good examples that that Adobe provided, and this is over here in my C2PA folder. And this particular one had a lot of ingredients. So this is an image that they provided, and this is their tool. So whether you want to integrate this into your own application or just use this external tool. So notice here that this image had no content credentials, but this one did. This was created by this Adobe Make Test. This is the application, 0.161. This is what happened. They added some color. They added an ingredient. Then it changed over here. They added a layer. So you could see as it changed in the life cycle, it's tracking that in the manifest. Okay, so this is a really big deal, and this is a way you can combat deepfakes. So big companies like Sensodyne, the toothpaste company, and LinkedIn, and I just read AWS and Google. So all the big technology companies are using this technology, and they're integrating C2PA. So this is a really cool thing that you could get on Developers Day. The other one was blockchain. So let me do a little quick demo of that, and then we can wrap up here. So I'm going to show you this hash. So over here, I'm going to show you a creator of content. So imagine I've scanned an image and I am a creator. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a document. So I'll say this is, and I'm going to create it for this person. I'm going to say this is Cesar's document. File name is Cesar Vega demo. It's going to be a PDF document. Purpose is test. And I'll find a PDF here. Let's go over here. Let's use this one, 214 something. Okay, now when I upload this, it's going to take the digital DNA of this document. So it's unique to this document. It's metadata, it's the histogram, there's very technical stuff. But basically, it just shows I've created this. So there's a little history of it. So all I've done is create it. I haven't done anything to it. But in the workflow, if people had edited or changed it, you'd see that in this workflow. And that's all, it's all stored on the blockchain with each block. So it's immutable. So as it goes through the workflow, it's almost impossible or can't change the original. So I've created this document. So I will now go over here as a consumer of that content. Let me log in here. So I'm going to be a consumer. So in this case, I'm a consumer here. Okay, so this person said this created, and they gave me access to it. So I can see the history. All I've done is just create it at this point. So, but there could be a big long history. I could see who's ever viewed this document. This is the verification button. So you can see I go over here and I say, I'm going to go verify that this is a legitimate content or not. This is the file that I did. So I'm going to validate this document. And again, there's a few extra buttons here, but the point is we want to show you this is what's happening behind the scenes. This could have been all automated. It could have said, let me check if the hash matches, and it did. So I could say, this is a legitimate invoice. It automatically goes through an approval process. Or if I go here and I do the same thing, but just find a document that doesn't have that matching hash value, then in my workflow, again, I'm checking, it would fail. So it would notify an administrator maybe and say, hey, this failed our validation. So those are two ways that you can authenticate content, and then you can validate content, either know the creator with the C2PA manifest, or know through the entire lifecycle through the blockchain. So those are two really good examples that will be available at Developers Day. So let me wrap. I know we've shared a lot of information, but let me just share the solution benefits for ScanBot and in a hosted environment like Lyrid. So time to value, just plug it in and it works. It's super easy. We've taken all the complications and made it super simple, easy. I even showed you extra buttons with multi-factor authentication. Those buttons could have been eliminated. So I could have just literally pressed one button. It could have embedded the C2PA manifest. It could have done the blockchain hashing all automatically in literally a second. It could have done the OCR. So I could have done a whole entire process in 1 or 2 seconds instead of taking all this time. No PC, so the cost of a PC, the maintenance of the PC, you don't have a PC that can get malware, that can get viruses. Remote management, you saw how I can manage all the scanners over my network all over the world, not just behind my firewall. Minimize IT involvement, because I could do everything remote. I could set up one workflow that I can use for 500 scanners. So you could just centralize your workflows. And then the things that Lyrid brings to the table as far as infrastructure, auto scaling, so that if you have a peak load and you want to scale up a server automatically, maybe at tax time, it gets busy in April, you could scale up servers, scale down servers. So it's always it's a very high available environment. And then load balancing too. So you could spin up servers at certain loads. So it's a very smart platform, and it allows P3 to keep our costs to a minimum because we're not using a lot of resource that's not being utilized. It just perfectly matches the workload. And we have standardization of connectors like to QuickBooks and Salesforce and OpenText. And then this Kubernetes architecture, Handoyo mentioned it. So with that, we're almost right at an hour. So I just want to stop here and thank everybody. Thank Handoyo. Thanks Cesar for attending. Thank you for attending. This is recorded. Our contacts here, phone number. And Cesar, any last minutes or questions from the audience?
No, as I mentioned, Kevin and Handoyo, thank you very much for putting this very informative webinar together. Anyone who sees this and have questions, can this be translated to Spanish? Can this be translated to Portuguese? Please contact me personally, and we will get you this information in those 2 languages so everyone can understand the robustness and how far this product can go and serve you and your company. So again, Kevin, Handoyo, thank you very much for putting this very informative webinar together, and we appreciate the time you've taken to educate all of us.
Hey, Cesar, we do have one question here, so let's take this, and then really we're interested in getting feedback on this for sure, and we want to do future stuff with Cesar. So this person says, I'm really interested in developing solutions Developers Day based on your presentation. What if my business development person wants to attend with me? Is there anything for them to do? Oh, that's a great thing, because this is technical and business. It's really good to have one of each if you can. It's really good to kind of go have a business discussion, then maybe go over to your technical person, say, is this feasible to do these things, or vice versa. Maybe your technical person says, hey, I learned about this C2PA thing and I really think it's good business value. So to answer the question, is there anything for you to do? There is a link here that I will share on Developers Day. We do have the Twain Working Group is organizing this, and the best thing to do is probably go to this URL because we can keep it up to date with new information, because there is new sponsors all the time. So let me I'll present this because some people might not get the recording. So go to twaindirect.org, and right on the homepage there, twaindirect.org, you will see this link, Twain Direct Developers Day. Just click this picture, and then here's the details on it. Developers Day. There's an agenda. There's a recorded video on it. Here's some details on it. Here's the C2PA and the blockchain integration. Here's the OpenText integration. So all you do, and there's contact information on here. Her name's click this, let's talk, and you can email. Her name is Erin Dempsey. She's the organizer for the event. You just email her with any questions, and then she'll get you all set up. But there's tickets available, and we're finalizing the attendees and the sponsors in the next couple days, couple weeks. So sign up now, and it'll be a great event. We did one. This will be our second one. The first one was a great success. A lot of people really liked it. So this is why we're doing it again. So thank you very much for the question.
Kevin, I do have a question
Yep.
about Developers Day as well. So as you know, if we have any friends from Latin America wanting to attend, will the website also have any recommendations for hospitality, for where to stay? And as well, will there be anyone there who could maybe assist with any type of translations or anything like that?
The event is, well, let me answer your first question. So the whole event is at Safety Harbor. So we've resumed a room block at Safety Harbor. So you just stay at the hotel and then attend the event at the hotel. And Craig Lau will be there, and he speaks fluent Spanish. Maybe many people know him. He'll be there, and he can help translate during the event.
Wonderful. That's a great asset to have. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. Okay, with that, Cesar, thank you very much for organizing this. We appreciate it. And then for people viewing this video, we're very interested in feedback. So please email Cesar, contact Cesar, and then we can consider doing future events. So Handoya, thank you very much. Cesar, thank you very much. And you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Candoyo. Thank you, Aaron.